well, one man that can tell us everything that maybe Usyk has taken away from Tyson or that his first defeat has reignited in him is Andy Lee, who's joining us, I assume, from just finishing Tyson's camp. Andy, how you doing?
Doing good, Wally. How are you guys?
Not too bad, thank you. Have you been out and chopped that tree down, or have you bought it out of a box from the attic?
That's from my own garden. No, that's actually a real tree, but it's from the local hardware store.
We believe that the camp has just finished up in Malta. Have you gone home for a little bit to see the family before you go out to Riyadh?
Yeah, I was only in the camp for a week. I had commitments here in Dublin, but I just went over to check in and see how he was looking, and he was looking very good. I think Sugar Hill's doing a very good job. They were kind of right on close to peaking at the right time, so they made some adjustments. You could see that. I could see that straight away. Not to give too much away, but they've made adjustments, and I think that'll be quite good for him.
I know I'm trying to keep this simple, and it's the most difficult thing in the world to do, but the idea is that if Tyson is more aggressive and assertive from the first round, he will win. But I mean, if it was that easy, AJ would have done it and Dubois would have done it. It's how you make that pressure, too much for Usyk to handle somehow.
Yeah. It's a very difficult fight for both of them in a way, and that's, put it in plain and simple terms, that would be the logical approach, that Tyson either does what he does for the first 7 rounds, or he puts more pressure on and keeps Usyk on the back foot. But Usyk's an incredible fighter, and the one thing that people don't really take as hard to calculate is the mental strength of Usyk and how he finds a way to win. And even before the round he landed that good punch, which was round 8, round 7, round 8, he was starting to look a bit lost, Usyk, to me, and somehow he just found that punch, and then that gave him the incentive to carry on in that way. But it's a very close fight, no matter what way. It was close the first time, it'll be close the second time, I believe, and it'll be about the small adjustments that you can make. And in rematches, it's the ones who make those small adjustments. I think Usyk was, as people have said, was very good on the night, and there's probably a lot more room for Tyson to be better than he was, as compared to Usyk being better than he was on the night in May. So there's a lot of improvements Tyson can make, but I think Usyk, for him, will be trying to do the same thing. I don't think there'll be a different approach from Usyk.
When you talk about Usyk's strength of mind and character, I remember you telling great stories about taking Tyson to the Kronk for the first time, and his singing and his boxing, amazing everyone. A first professional loss like that, I guess the arguments and what we'll see from the first bell is, has it re-energised him, reinvigorated him, brought the challenger mindset back, or has Oleksandr Usyk taken something away from him that he'll never get back?
Yeah, these are all the questions, but only he will know, and
did you see anything different of him in this week? Did you notice anything different?
No, he's very determined, very confident, very sure of himself. But I know from my own experience and from watching boxing, fighters are always a little bit hesitant after a loss. They're not as sure of themselves. But when you're dealing with Tyson, you're not dealing with a normal human being or a normal fighter. You're dealing with a unique person, and that's what I keep coming back to, is that I trust the man, and from our camp side, I trust the man. I know how great he is and what's inside him, how strong he is mentally himself, and that's like, there's the battle on the outside, which everyone can see, the hands and the feet moving and the head moving and the boxing. But then there's the battle inside, which will be between them two, the battle of wills. And it just makes for a fascinating fight, really.
Andy, what's been different between this camp and the camp for the first fight?
He was doing a lot more. He was doing rounds. Like, he had the cut after the first initial camp, and then he had that cut. So he had to be very careful going into the fight in May. Couldn't really spar open and spar properly. So that's a huge benefit to him this time. It was a huge detriment to him going into the last fight, but this time around he's been able to spar and prepare better. And then making small adjustments, just small movements with the feet, hand positioning, yeah, he's going to be. You have to be extremely fit to fight Usyk because that's how he fights. The mental concentration has to go along with physical conditioning. They have to be hand in hand. They have to, you can't concentrate if you're getting tired. And you're going to get tired unless you're fit. So the fitness has improved immensely. I believe from what I saw, he's doing 12 rounds pretty consistently. And yeah, small adjustments technically as well will make a difference for Tyson.
And do you think because he's been in with Oleksandr Usyk now, he understands to cope with that pressure, that intense pressure that he puts on you? Will be a help to him now?
Yeah, and like everyone says, back him up, Barry. But it's much easier. It's that's saying it and doing it is two different things, isn't it? You know, when Usyk's always in position to punch, and he's always there pressuring you to punch because he gets in within your range, and then you feel the anxiety to punch, and then he steps back with his feet, and then he comes again with counters over the top. So being ready all the time, no breaks in between. That's the hardest challenge for most boxers, you know.
I know one of his sparring partners, Finelli, very good fighter.
Finelli's
was together
flashy
in
and fast. Yeah, he had a young Russian kid there who's 23 or 4, who was European and world amateur champion, who Sugar Hill trains as well. Before that, he had Mosai Tuma there and Kevin Lorena. He's got Alexei there from Canada, but they're very, very similar to Usyk, especially the Russian kid and Alexei.
At the October launch press conference for this rematch, Andy, Tyson gave us a really great interview, and he was incredibly honest about one particular subject, and he was only honest with the British press on the promise that we did not use the word excuse about it, and we didn't. We stood by that, but he explained that in the week of the fight, Paris had a miscarriage, and he also explained that this wasn't an early miscarriage. This was well into it, and it was heartbreaking to hear, and we was really grateful that he was so honest. And again, we will not ever write that he called it an excuse, but I mean, she hid it from him for as long as she could, and I think he said he even went to the ring without actually knowing it for sure, but he believed it. Being around him, knowing the family as well as you do, and not saying it is an excuse, but could you see it, how it must have had an effect on him as a human being?
Yeah, I never heard. I wasn't aware of it. I knew she was expecting a child, and even she's always at the fights, and I was expecting her to be there, really. And then when she wasn't there, I thought, oh, maybe she can't fly, or something like that. But then Tyson never mentioned it. Tyson never mentioned it once, but he was very quiet. Even the day of the fight, we went in the afternoon. Fights take place so late over there, so it must have been around 6 or 7 p.m. We all went for a walk, and he was very quiet. We had a good chat, me and him, and just talking about his career and how far he'd come, and what this moment meant to him. But there was a certain quietness to him, or maybe a sadness, but that was probably playing on his mind. So all these, listen, when you watch your fight, you're just seeing the fight, but the months and weeks leading up to that fight dictate how the fight turns out, how it goes for you. So being cut, not having a full proper training camp, and maybe having something like that in the back of your mind, it all leads into your performance. And for me, which was quite telling, was, I don't know, when Tyson makes his ring walk, I'll go to the ring first. I won't go on the ring walk with him. The rest will stand there. I'll go to the ring, make sure I'm in the ring before Tyson gets to the ring, to give him water and just be there, have someone to meet him in the ring. So I watched Usyk come into the ring and his crew and all the team, and he was quite settled in himself, Usyk. He was quite focused and present. And when Tyson got into the ring, I could see somebody who was quite a little bit agitated, and I think all those little things that were going on in the build-up to the fight maybe were playing on his mind, or just having that little bit of anxiety, maybe about him, but I could see if you watch the fight back before the fight, he wasn't really himself, like where usually he's quite within himself. So yeah, it was just an interesting insight, something I noticed straight away when he got into the ring.
Hi Andy, yeah, I was going to say one of the talking points that came from after the fight was people were saying there were too many voices in the corner towards the end, different things being told. Do you know if Tyson will still have that many people in the corner? And how much of a effect do you think that played?
I think it did have some effect on him. Yeah, I think towards the end of the fight, especially when you're in a battle like that and you're fighting for your life, really. There was 3 or 4 different voices in the corner, one being Sugar Hill and one being John Fury, and then towards the end was me. But it was fine. I can understand from a dad's point of view, he's trying to protect his son. From Sugar Hill's point of view, he's trying to win the fight. From my point of view, I was told he was 2 rounds down going into the last round. And I just had to communicate that to him. I said, you have to win these last 2 rounds, and you win these 2 rounds, you win the fight. So that was it. But I think we'll take a different approach this time. I don't know. Who knows what'll happen?
For what it's worth, I sided with you there. I thought he needed to go out and push those last 2 rounds just from watching it. And then when I heard, look, just box, stay away, I thought,
But I remember seeing an interview that Shane did, Shane's brother, Tyson's brother, where he said that isn't a boxing coach in the corner. That's a man who's watched his son survive that 9th round, and wants him to and watch the Wilder fights. Maybe that's when you shouldn't have a dad in the corner, maybe, but that's a man protecting his son.
Yeah, there's always that emotional connection, which. Yeah.
And to be fair, because Tyson lost his dad, his dad spent some time in prison and missed. I remember John telling us about being in a prison cell and having to listen to the fights on the radio or learn about the results. I would be amazed if Tyson would ever say, don't be around Dad, because he's had that period where it was enforced on him.
And it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
What was Andy, what was the camp like, or the corner like in that 9th round? I mean, was it hectic when Usyk was obviously getting the upper hand?
Yeah, it was. Sugar was quite focused, because Sugar, David, and I was looking at Sugar maybe grab the towel. The way it was going, there was a couple of moments there that were quite. It was, but being for the undisputed title, maybe Sugar just held that back, and probably rightly so. In the end, it was the right decision. But
Definitely.
Yeah, it was. Listen, I'm very close to Tyson, and to see him hurt like that, but also to admire him to come back from it. You know what I mean? Like he's done so many times. He's been hurt before, but usually they're just like flash knockdowns. He'll get up. He'll be on the floor. He'll be fully conscious, and he'll just get himself up and shake himself off and go straight back to boxing. But you could see in that round, it was really hard.
There was another moment at that press conference, Andy, after we'd spoken to Tyson privately. It was all on the stage. And maybe these fellas before this told me I was totally wrong, but the old Tyson who turned up to the Klitschko presser dressed as Batman and really dominated Wilder in the media events. Tyson sat on the stage, and it was Usyk who arrived dressed as a villain, and he got out a briefcase and he walked across to Tyson, and it's a big photo of that punch. And he said, sign them, and Tyson signed them. And maybe I'm totally looking too far into it, but I felt like the old Tyson might have ripped them up or grabbed the pen and drawn a rude picture on it. And I don't know, I'm probably just overanalyzing, but it just felt like maybe not the changing of the guard, but that maybe Tyson had changed a little bit, or maybe that little bit of showmanship or ego had maybe just gone a little bit.
Yeah, that is interesting, and it is all mental warfare with this stuff. Tyson being announced first, walking out, and then Usyk coming in. And if you look from Tyson's point of view, he doesn't want to be there. He drove down from Morecambe, being driven down from Morecambe, and he's like, oh, I had to get up at 5 a.m. to come here and do this thing, which I've done a million, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'll do it all again next week when they go, whenever the fight week comes. So he's trying to just give it as less energy as possible. But then probably regrets, you know, when you see Usyk coming in looking really cool in that suit and stuff, the Hitman outfit and all that. So, yeah, you might be right. It is like the one thing, like, I don't think it's bothered Tyson, but I always call Tyson the puppet master because he can control these guys in these press conferences and weigh-ins and different interviews, because when he's nice, they're nice. When he's aggressive, they're aggressive. You know, like with Wilde, they just had him on the string, and I've seen him with similar opponents. You know what I mean? Like Chisora. You know, Chisora is a very controversial character. You know, back all throughout the years, back when he was like slapping Klitschko's and different stuff, and like Tyson just had him, you know, the puppet master. But he has not. I don't think he's been able to do that yet with Usyk. I'm not sure if that bothers him. I'm not sure if he cares really too much about it. I had a few days and the day before I left, we were training and we were talking about it. I said, you're right on course. You know, the way you're shaping up, you're looking, you know what I mean? It's going to come together right at the right time for you. And he was like, Andy, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm going to actually go through him. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like for him, it's like, what is everyone worried about? And I know what I mean, and discussing about and contemplating, like, you know, tactics and strategies, and he said, I'm just going to go through him. What's everyone talking about? And then I was like, oh yeah, he's actually right. You know, and I believe him 100% then. You know, so I trust the man. I know there's so many questions hanging over it now. Conditioning, age, you know, wear and tear, coming back from a defeat, being hurt, up against this universal boxer of Usyk, who's never lost, Olympic champion, cruiserweight, undisputed, now world champion, heavyweight, undisputed. But I just believe in the man, and if anyone can do it, if there's ever a person who can overcome all these odds, it's Tyson Fury, because he is a special individual.